Hello everybody, my name is Daniil Dubov, and here comes my recap of the first game of the World Championship match, where Jan Nepomniachtchi played white and Daniil played black. Jan started with e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, bishop b5. As many have predicted, the Spanish happened indeed, no neither from Ding. a6, bishop a4, knight f6, castles, bishop e7. So at the end of the day, Ding decided to stick to his main repertoire, and Jan played bishop takes c6, which is a well-known line, but still it is quite a surprise, as the line is considered to be rather harmless. dc6, rook e1, knight d7. Knight d7 is the most popular move here, although both bishop g4 and queen d6 are good moves too. But clearly knight d7 is a very, very solid move, so it's perfectly clear that Ding just wanted to keep it simple and safe. d4, e takes d4, queen takes d4, castles, bishop f4, both players are still following the theory, knight c5, queen e3. And here Ding played bishop g4, which is a very, very logical move, yet a mistake. The idea is pretty simple. Black wants to develop his pieces, he wants to play queen d7, and then to play rook a to d8. But Jan replied quickly with knight d4, which I'm pretty sure he still had in notes. And after queen d7, which happened indeed, he had this really nice trick, knight c3, which he played, rook a to d8, and h3 was a very, very nice idea here for white, based on queen takes d4, knight d5 tactics, which Jan missed, as we know from the press conference, and suddenly white is winning here. So after queen takes e3, there is knight takes e7 check, followed by bishop takes e3, and both black pieces are under attack. Or let's say after rook takes d5, e takes d5, queen takes c3, rook takes. Black will lose one of the bishops too, so this is just bad. So basically after queen takes d4, knight d5, white is pretty much winning. The only move available here is bishop f6, still white takes, and now queen takes runs into bishop g5, followed by bishop takes d8, and white is winning. So g takes is the only move available, and here both queen g3 and a takes g4 give white a very, very big advantage. So basically after h3, black had to play something else, and the ancient wants some crazy move rook e8 here, with the idea of h takes, queen takes d4, and now after knight d5, the bishop on e7 is protected. Still white has many promising options here. Two of them are knight b3 and queen g3, with the idea of queen takes d4, bishop takes c7. And white is quite a lot better here. It's important that black cannot really touch the bishop because of bishop e5, and queen takes g7 is a matching threat. So this was a very, very good chance for Jan, who played knight f5 instead. Let me go back 1 second. So knight f5 happened in the game. Now bishop takes was completely fine, e takes, rook f to e8. And here I want to praise our star commentator Vishanand, who has actually shown this brilliant line b4. It looks like black knight is trapped, and in fact it is, but knight a4 works. And the key idea here is that after knight takes a4, there is bishop takes b4, and it's black who is better. So this is why bishop takes a5 was decent. There's also f6 instead of b4, but then black is fine after bishop f8. So bishop takes f5 was a better move. Ding played knight e6 instead, which is still solid, but white is clearly better, as he gets this very, very nice exchange. Takes, takes, bishop g3, bishop h5 was played, which I think is a little bit strange. f5 was also a decent move here, for instance, but Ding just wanted to get his bishop to f7 and then basically wait and ask white what's next, which he did. So bishop h5, f3, f6, h3. Both players play some useful moves. h6, king h2, bishop f7, rook a to d1, b6. Both play reasonably. I guess it was also normal to actually, not go b6 voluntarily. Maybe queen b4 was reasonable here as well, but at least b6 is natural, but Jan managed to show what's the problem. So let's say a3, a5. Now, if white will ever trade the knights, Then queen f4 followed by queen c7 will be a very, very big problem for black, which actually happened in the game. Jan played knight e2, rook takes d1, rook takes d1, rook d8. It's all natural, black is just trying to trade all the pieces. So rook d3, c5, now queen d2. So Jan is actually fighting for the d file, so he wants to trade the rooks as a way that gives him this control over d file. Still, rook takes d3 was probably a better move. Ding played c6 instead, which is actually a straight blunder, as after rook takes d8, first of all, you cannot really take, as there is bishop c7 in the end. And black is basically losing the b6 pawn and eventually the game. So knight takes d8 was played, and queen f4, which I think was just straight blundered by Ding, as you just don't play this if you see queen f4. Now queen b8 is white's next move, and then bishop c7 and bishop d6 are both coming, so it's really problematic for black. Ding played b5, which is the best practical chance. Queen b8 happened, king h7, which you need to play as if you protect the pawn first, you protect the pawn, but you lose a knight after bishop c7. So king h7 was a must. And Jan played bishop d6 here, which is the first inaccurate move of the game, really. As bishop c7 was pretty much winning. But I can see, like, with the engine, everybody is saying this was quite easy, but I can see what Jan's concern was. So knight e6 is forced. Bishop takes a5. Now black has two options. First of all, there is knight d4. White is forced to take. C takes d4. So now, if black is in time to stabilize, I would say it will most probably be a draw. So white had to calculate bishop b6. Queen d7 is the only move as the pawn is attacked. Queen a7, queen d6 check, king h1, queen f4. Now you cannot really capture the bishop, as queen c1 check followed by queen f4 is a repetition. So white has to play bishop takes d4 instead. Queen c1 check, bishop g1, and now something like, let's say, bishop g8. And you can easily stop here as white, as it's clear that one of the pawns will be captured by black queen, and then with opposite colored bishops, it's very likely to be a draw. So what Jan could probably miss here is that actually there is this move a4, and the problem is that if black takes, then after queen takes a4, white is in time to actually keep both extra pawns. And otherwise, this a pawn will just promote, let's say a5, queen takes c2, a6, b4. What else? Then there is just queen b8 followed by a7 and a8 queen. But this a4 nuance is very, very important, and actually you need to see it in advance to play bishop c7 here. One of the other problems was that after bishop takes c5, there is also queen d7, where again it's not obvious at all queen d1 is coming, so it's not obvious at all that after bishop c3, queen d1, knight f4, white is actually pretty much winning, which is based on the fact that after takes, queen takes c2, white has e5, and there is no way to protect the f6 pawn, and after f5 there is e6 followed by queen e5 with the mating threat. So this bishop c7 was actually most probably just straight winning for white, more or less. Still, you can see that, yeah, to play it over the board, Jan had to calculate a lot. He played bishop d6 instead, which is reasonable too. So bishop d6 happened in the game. Queen d7, and he played knight g3, which is a very good move, as after bishop takes c5, queen d2, black gets quite a lot of counterplay. Knight e6 is coming, and his compensation is more or less sufficient, I guess. So knight g3 was played, which is a very good move. Jan actually did a very good job keeping the pressure here, but f4. It was probably wiser to start with c3 to just prevent this knight d4 jump, as in the game after f4, knight d4 followed by c3, knight c2 was actually good. But then again, it looks simple, but you have to see this idea of queen d2 followed by knight e1, which is not obvious at all, and as we know, Ding was down to his last minutes. So he played h5, which is also okay, c3. Jan is back on track, now this d4 square is covered. And now c4 is reasonable, black is just trying to protect his pawn in advance. After f5, the knight eventually will have to go. Black played, white played h4, queen d8. And here, this was actually the last moment where Jan, I think, could create problems. He had to take on d8 with a very, very counterintuitive idea of playing bishop e7. And then after knight b7, it's kind of strange, as the bishop is literally trapped here. And let's say if white skips a couple of moves, then he can actually end up losing the bishop. Let's say f5, king f7. And we lose the bishop. So once again, some very, very deep calculation was required here. So the move is f5. And then it's very important that after king g8, white is in time with knight e2, bishop e8, knight f4, king f7, knight g6. And again, from far away, even if you see this, it's not obvious at all that white is much better, but in fact he is actually. His next moves are king g3 followed by king f4, then g3 and e5 eventually. And white is much better here. So this was Jan's pretty much last chance in the game. Yeah, instead he played queen b7, and after bishop e8, black is objectively fine. White still has some pressure, which Dink managed to neutralize with precise play. Jan played knight f5, queen d7, queen b8, which was a funny idea. Dink played queen d8, which is a good move, so clearly you don't play, still it was a nice trap, you don't play bishop g6, as there is knight e7 followed by queen g8. But queen d8 happened in the game, and Jan was literally forced to trade queens, which he did. And then black was fine, and some moves were played, but in general, white has this little pressure, which Dink managed to neutralize wonderfully. And after move 40, both players got an additional hour, and black was fine all the way. So knight c5, black sacrificed the pawn for a moment, then he got it back, and the game finished in a draw quite reasonably. So this was the first game. There is a lot of tension, and there were some nerves shown by both players, I guess. So yeah, keep watching our videos, and we'll see what happens next. See you guys.